Hi, it's Nicole McGuirk with this week's From Start to Finish video brought to you by 2peasinabucket.com. This week, before I get started, while I'm showing the product that I'm going to be using, which is a lot of the Lovebirds collection from Fancy Pants, as well as a few embellishments from American Crafts and other things, I'm going to share. I got a question from a viewer and I wanted to address that here. It asked me, how do I decide what pattern papers to use? Do you see those papers and then pull photos? Or do you have the photos in mind and then select papers? I'm going to address that first and then I'll go to the second part of her question. I start with my photos first 99.9% of the time. Once in a while I'll have some paper that I want to use and I just go looking for photos that will go with it, but that very rarely happens. For this particular page, I knew I wanted to use these photos, and so I pulled Bright Happy papers to use with them. These happen to be some new ones I had, so they were kind of in the forefront of my mind. These are loved themed papers, but they don't have to be for a love or Valentine's or wedding themed photos or anything like that. These are some pictures of my kids playing outside in the backyard. And the theme of my page was just their love and playing outside and having a good time and being kids. So you can see I used a lot of the non-themed like B-sides of the paper. Here I'm showing a few of the other things I'm using on the page, some of the new Jenny Bolin inks and some Technique Tuesday stamps and things, and this butterfly punch from Fiskars. The second part of the question I received was, how do you keep up with what papers you have? Do you sort by manufacturer? And my answer to that is yes, I do. I sort everything by manufacturer and then sort alphabetically in the Cropper Hopper paper holders on a shelf in my scrap room. And then I usually even break it down further and store them by collection. For me, that just works. I tried storing by color and I had a heck of a time finding anything, so I went back to storing by manufacturer, except for Christmas and Halloween, and those each get their own paper sorter file, and I put all of those together. But I usually do keep them together by manufacturer. So I hope that answers some of your questions. If you ever have any other questions you want to ask me, I am happy to answer them, and I'll try to answer them in the videos in case other people are wanting to know the same thing. Okay, you can see here I'm just cutting down my products for the page. I'm cutting some paper strips from this fun border paper from the Fancy Pants Lovebirds collection. I loved this little fun phrase and I thought it would be perfect for these photos. So I cut that from this paper strip background and I cut my photos out. And then this is that jelly bean soup paper that I'm going to use. It's kind of a yellow grid type paper. I needed something kind of ledger-ish for my page and that just worked. I like the yellow. It coordinated well with the Fancy Pants papers. I'm going to start with my 12 by 12 white cardstock. This is from American Crafts. Their cardstock just happens to be my favorite. It cuts really, really well on the silhouette, and so I tend to gravitate towards the American Crafts cardstock because of that. So I'm just laying out all of my elements here to see if I kind of like the design before I cut any more of my paper down. I always kind of like to lay it out first just so that I don't make too many mistakes as I'm cutting my paper or ruin, that beautiful sheet of paper. Sometimes it's hard to cut them apart. I'm going to cut this jelly bean soup grid paper to about 8 inches wide. And I'm cutting it wider than what I actually need. I end up trimming it down to 6 inches wide, and I'm just punching that little spiral bound border there at the top of the page. I did that for a couple of reasons. I wasn't quite sure that I wasn't going to want it that wide, and it's easier to start bigger and go smaller than to trim the paper down too small and then you're left trying to do something else. Now, out of a lot of these kind of solidish type background or B-sides of these pattern papers, a lot of them have a slight pattern to them. It's hard to tell in the video, but I'm just punching some of these Fiskars butterflies out. And this is Fiskars' new special edition or limited edition spring stamp punch, for this season. They had one a couple of years ago, or maybe it was even last year, I can't remember, that I just absolutely loved. And I guess it was a limited edition one and it's not available anymore. And so I picked up this new one and I really, really like it. It's a great butterfly shape and fun to use. You can see I'm kind of arranging them in a diagonal in a rainbow. I like doing that a lot. I think it kind of gives a nice cohesive look to it, and it's a fun design element for the page. Plus you get to incorporate quite a few colors without like a lot of pattern or too much going on. I'm going to trim down this red paper now. I don't need a whole lot because I have that jelly bean soup paper and a couple of other things, so I don't really need it to go across the entire background of the page. And I trimmed it to about 6 inches by 11. And now I'm going to lay out my elements again and make sure that this is working and that I like it before I go any further. I'm going to speed through. I'm going to lay all those butterflies back out, place my tags back down here. I always like tucking like little tags or label stickers or things on my pages. It's one of those things I do a lot, and because I like it, I feel like it's fine to just keep doing it. You don't have to do something new all the time. There's my little photo border strip. Those photos are all 1.5 inches wide. I trimmed a couple more strips from that paper. I felt like I needed a little bit more rainbow of color around the bottom of the page, and those hearts are already like that on the paper, and so they work perfectly, and then I can put my little quote strip that I trimmed out earlier right above that. I think that's really fun. Okay, I printed my journaling on the bottom of that jelly bean soup paper that I punched the spiral border at the top. I just ran it right through my printer, added a little journaling, just kind of pre-planned where it needed to be and set my margins to the appropriate size. And I'm just going to trim off the bottom of that page now. I know I want it to be slightly longer than the 11 inches that I've cut the red paper to, just kind of for a fun look, kind of more of a layered look than lining it up. So I trim that a little bit. And then I'm going to take this other red piece. I felt like the right side of the layout needed just a little something. So I'm going to take this double scallop edger punch by Martha Stewart and punch a quick border. And I just eyeballed the center of my strip of paper and started from the middle, and then I'm working my way out on both sides. A lot of times I'll start at one end or another, but I really wanted this to kind of be even, so I started in the middle and then worked my way out. And now I'm ready to start adhering the pieces to my layout. So I'm just going to add a little adhesive and place all the elements that I've already trimmed out on the page. I'm going to line up this side over here. I'm going to end up using my ruler and so that I get that exactly even with the rest of it. I probably could have cut that and covered the entire background there instead of piecing it together like that, but as I went I decided I needed more red, so that's how come I did it that way. Okay, there's what it looks like. I'm going to grab my October Afternoon stickers. I think you guys probably know by now how much I love those. And I'm just going to take one that says Summer Of, and I'm going to ink up a date stamp from an office supply store. using the Brown Sugar Jenny Bolin ink. I really, really like these Jenny Bolin inks. I just picked them up earlier this month, and I stamped them all just to see the colors when I got them, and they are all really, really nice colors. I'll be using those a lot, both in this weekly series and my monthly scrapbook stamping class. Added another sticker from October Afternoon, a little ribbon to one of the tags, a little string to another, and then I'm going to sew on one of the Doodlebug buttons. This is the Ladybug, red color. I'm going to sew that right to the middle of the heart on this last tag. Just add a little embellishment and fun. That looks nice. The yellow ribbon on the one tag adds a nice pop of color. I'm just going to kind of crinkle up that little spiral binding now to look like it's been torn from a notebook. And I'm going to use glue dots to adhere all of my butterflies. You can see I accidentally put the wrong butterfly there, so I picked it up. Had to add some more glue dot because it took a little paper off with it when I picked it up. Trying to get those as evenly spaced as possible. You can really see in the close-up here how cute that butterfly shape is. I think I'll be using it a lot. I really like it. Kind of arrange those, and I'm just applying the glue dot in the middle of the butterfly's body so that the wings kind of pop up just a little bit. I probably could put pop dots under those, but I didn't really feel it was necessary. Once I place my page in a sheet protector, they'll probably flatten out anyway. Okay, it's looking pretty good. I'm going to add just a little stamping now with some Ali Edwards Studio AE stamps. This is from the February kit, or stamp set rather, and it is probably my favorite Studio AE stamp set to date. I can see myself using this a ton. I've already used it in a couple of the other videos that I've done this month, both the February scrapbook stamping and one of the from start to finish videos from 2 weeks ago. So it's just one of those things where you can add just a little bit here and there, and it just adds just enough stamping. So I used that quote, "The Most Wonderful Story," plus it had that cute little heart, and I'm using the Jenny Bolin inks again. I'm using the cough syrup and soap powder, as well as the brown sugar. And one last little embellishment, my favorite little Tim Holtz mini clips, and the page is done. For more information on this layout, please visit twopieceinabucket.com on February 16th, 2011. Thanks for watching another From Start to Finish video.